Okay. Thank you, Rabbi, for the privilege to speak, for the breakfast. So thanks to everyone for coming. I'm going to start with a story the rabbi's probably not going to like, but at this point, there was Erev Pesach. I heard this is a true story in Yerushalayim. A fellow's toilet broke. So you know, Erev Pesach's the busiest day of the year, and on top of everything else he had to do, he had a broken toilet. So he called the plumber. The plumber says he needed a new toilet, so he brings up the toilet. And he's got to bring down the old toilet, Erev Pesach. So he's walking down the stairs with his toilet, and his neighbor's walking up, and his neighbor has this look of horror on his face. He says, "Oh, another chumrah? You got to be kidding me!" And he thought he has to switch the toilet for Pesach. So that story is a little crazy, but sometimes what I've learned sometimes is that sometimes a person tells you something that like, "Oh, this is something chumrah you have to do it," and you're like, "Oh, you're out of your mind. What are you talking about?" And then after you start looking into it, you realize like, well, wait a minute, they kind of have a point. Like this point and that point, and maybe we don't do it. But even things on the table, I see that there are those that say those are machmir with certain things, and you think, "Oh, you're crazy. What all of Klal Yisrael does ABC? Maybe you don't have to do it, but." I used to just kind of like push them off, like, "Oh, you're out of your mind." And then when you start hearing what they have to say, like, "Oh, okay, I hear where he's coming from. He's not out of his mind. He's kind of crazy." Doesn't mean we have to do it, but so that's the introduction to what might seem like a crazy thing. You have to kasher your teeth on Pesach. First of all, how would you even do that? My question is, anyone have any opinion? You do have to. You don't have to. Why yes? Why no? My question is, why is teeth different from any other thing that we kasher on Pesach? Right. You eat with, but you also eat with your fork, your knives, your pots, your pans. So why shouldn't you have to kasher your teeth? I think it's a decent question. Not only that.
In other words, your fork absorbs chametz, so your teeth absorb chametz.
Right. And
I get my teeth cleaned every year right before Pesach.
They absorb.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, right.
Clean your pot,
right.
It's absorbed.
Yeah.
And there's something called tam ka'ikr that the taste comes out, and that's like the essence of something. So it's it's a great question.
So that's what we're gonna start with. And to make it worse, forget about Pesach. What about basar b'chalav? What about meat and milk? Maybe I have to only choose one. If I have a hamburger, I have the taste of hot meat in my teeth. Who says I can ever have a bagel and cream cheese for the rest of my life?
Right.
Why am I allowed to? I assume we are, but why? So, we're not going to finish today. I think we have a couple weeks before Pesach, but I just want to go through the different issues, the different parts of this topic, and the halachic things that come up, and we can discuss what we think based on the evidence. And maybe even though we don't have to kasher our teeth, we're going to see that there are those that have certain stringencies before Pesach of things you might want to do, like you said, cleaning your teeth. Right? You have to clean your teeth before Pesach. Maybe you have to do other things. There are those we're going to see. There are those that refrain from certain foods before Pesach because of this issue. And then forget about teeth. What about braces? If you have braces, what about fillings, caps? What if you have false teeth? Is that any different? And you take the teeth out. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a little hard to pour boiling water in your mouth to kasher your teeth. But maybe if you have false teeth, you have to take them out and maybe you have to boil them to kasher them. So we'll see. So the first thing, as the Rabbi mentioned, is something called blios. Something called tam ka'ikr. That means the taste of a food is like the food itself. Now why is that relevant? Because why can't I go right now to the Manalpin Diner? From what I hear, it's a very delicious place, and just have some eggs. Eggs are kosher. Right? What's the problem?
Yeah, but the pan stuff, it's not kosher. It's in the frying pan.
Very good, right. That's called tam ka'ikr. There's something called taste, that the taste of a food is like the food itself.
Oh, yeah.
So that means, if I go into the Manalpin Diner, and I order eggs over easy, so that could be before the person that came before me just had bacon.
Right.
The taste of the bacon went into the pot, into the pan, and now when I order the eggs, the taste of the bacon is now into the eggs. And then I would be forbidden to eat. Now there's a machlekes in the Gemara. Is tam ka'ikr, the fact that the taste of a food, let's say the taste of bacon is forbidden, just like bacon, is that a rabbinic law or is that a Torah law? I'll tell you an interesting nafkamina about that.
Torah?
Torah law, that's what you hold? Anyone disagree? Anyone? Oh, you're taking both sides. You're taking the safe way. So I'll tell you what could be a difference. What about a goy that keeps kosher? What? How could that be? What do you mean a goy that keeps kosher? A goy, anyone know a goy is not allowed to eat something, certain things. just like we're not allowed to eat certain things.
Why aren't they allowed to eat?
Aver min achai, a goy is not allowed to eat a limb from a live animal. So he's not allowed to go to a cow in the farm, cut off the leg, and start eating the leg, even if he cooks it after and everything. Oh, come on, that doesn't happen. Oh, really? It does. I'll tell you why. Rav Moshe Heinemann got this Shiloh in Baltimore. There's a group of, a lot of them live in the South. They're non-Jews, but they keep the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. They keep the 7 Noahide laws. And they don't want to convert to Judaism. You know, it's pretty tough converting to Judaism. But they want to keep the 7 Noahide laws because they believe the Jews are the chosen people, and they believe that Hashem wants them to keep the 7 Noahide laws, like it says in the Torah. So there was a fellow, I think he was in like Virginia or someplace. He loves going to this diner. Now, at this diner, he knows they serve a delicacy by them, which I would never eat in my life, but basically it's the cow beitzim, cow testicles. And they cut them off while the cow was still alive.
Wow.
So that's Aver min achai. He knows, so he says, I know I'm not allowed to eat it because they cut off the limb when the animal is still alive. But he wanted to know, can he eat in the diner because maybe the pan that they use to cook that, they're going to use to cook his eggs after. So maybe he's not allowed to eat at that diner. That was the question to Rav Heinemann. I don't remember what the answer is, but it could be an afkamina the Stipler, it's not Stipler. The Stipler mentions this, that if it's rabbinic, if Tam Ke'ikr is rabbinic, that means the rabbis at some point in history said, could be that there was I assume this wasn't happening, but could be hypothetically, there was a time in Jewish history where Jews were going to the Manalapan diner, and they were eating eggs, and they were eating with the non-Jews, and the rabbis said, you know what, we're afraid that you're going to come maybe by accident, you'll eat bacon, there'll be some bacon left in the pot, they're not going to clean it well, so we're going to say the taste of the bacon is just prohibited just as much as the bacon itself. So what did the rabbis do? The rabbis said you can't have the taste of something not kosher just as not kosher as the thing itself. Now, who would that law apply to? Would that apply by Jews or non-Jews? Well, the rabbis make laws for non-Jews. No, they make laws for Jews. They want the Rambam writes that the purpose of the rabbis when they make laws is to protect Judaism, to protect the Torah. So probably if they made a law, it would only apply to Jews. So if you hold Tam Ke'ikr D'Rabbanan, then this guy in Virginia could go and he could eat at this diner, no problem. However, that is your first inclination, is what we paskin, that Tam Ke'ikr D'Oraisa, mostly, we paskin like that. That means it's the Torah itself which says that the taste of something is just as prohibited. So, according to that, if the Torah says something, that could actually be telling us a reality, that it's not just some law that applies by Jews. The taste, the Torah says, Hashem says, the taste is just as forbidden as the food itself. Therefore, this non-Jew would not be allowed to eat at this diner because maybe the taste of these cow parts are in the pots. Now, even within Tam Ke'ikr D'Oraisa, there's a debate if it could only apply to Jews. But if you have a non-Jewish friend who wants to eat in a diner, I suggest who that happens to serve these types of things. That sounds like a southern weird thing that they have in Arkansas or something. I'm not aware of any Aver min achai really that they serve that people eat. I don't know if anyone can think of anything. I'm just thinking, but it is barbaric. They throw the lobster in live to the boiling water. Every time the anti-Semites go on with kaparos, complain about kaparos, that we take a chicken. I'm like, you throw a live lobster into boiling water, you're complaining about kaparos? Give me a break. Those cute little things that go in the tank, actually look like a bug, but...
They scream.
I have an allergy to shellfish.
The lobster scream, yeah?
I can't eat shellfish, I have an allergy.
Baruch Hashem bless you. Baruch Hashem.
Oh, you're lucky.
At least you're not allergic to cholents, that would be... Okay, so that's that. So we're going to say the Tam Ke'ikr is D'Oraisa. So that's just the general thing. But still, according to that, I eat a hamburger, a hot hamburger, or I eat hot cholent, if you had cholent on Shabbos. So how come the taste of the meat didn't go in my teeth? Right? And if the taste of the meat went in my teeth, I'm not allowed to have a bagel and cream cheese right now. Right?
It's cold.
Because this is milk.
How can you have lasagna?
Right. Can't have lasagna because it'll also be hot. Right? Well, that's an important thing to write. Important thing to mention, hopefully talk about next week, is that the taste, with a few exceptions, taste only transfers when it's hot. Because when something's hot, the taste will go into the pot. Someone told me there's famous chefs that pay money for special pots that were cooked with a certain thing because it'll add a certain flavor if it was used. And then someone else told me a story. Was it? I forgot. There was someone who was gave a hashkachan, some famous company, and they said he was arguing that they don't have to kasher the pot because they cleaned it so well. I think they filled it up with like regular water, and they saw that there was still stuff coming out, something like that. I don't remember the whole story. Okay, so I want to go through one more aspect of this that could be applicable, and then call it a day for this week.
No, but what are we
Yeah.
saying? That the taste is transferred into the teeth?
As of this point, I'm saying, why shouldn't it be?
Yes.
Right? Or if I
Yes.
eat, we can get one of those like really hot pieces of challah.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't be able to. I need to kasher my teeth for Pesach. Get the taste of the challah.
And you can't do that.
I mean,
It's inside your teeth. It's
Right.
absorbed inside.
you're saying because it's going to burn your mouth and it's not going to be very very good.
So the other, right, and then the alternative would be not to eat anything hot over Pesach.
Right?
Right, you have to eat cold over Pesach.
Right. Okay.
Mm.
So now there's another aspect. There was a case. I think it was in the Tshuva of the Chassam Sofer. It could have been earlier. What about? We're talking about Ever Minachai. So similar case. A chicken. There was this true story. A lady was cooking some hot, let's say it was a lasagna or some hot dairy dish, and a chicken jumped into the dish, and then the chicken jumped out. So the question is, you shouldn't eat it because it said what? It's meat and dairy, right? So you shouldn't eat it. I think that's what they paskin. You shouldn't eat it, and also you shouldn't be able to sell it because it's basar b'cholov. Milk and meat. Not only is there a prohibition to eat milk and meat, but if it's cooked together, you can't even get benefit from it. So if you wanted to own stock in McDonald's, probably you can't do that because they sell cheeseburgers, and that's and we can't own a McDonald's because you're going to be getting benefit from selling the cheeseburgers. Now, some say, I think we pasuk like this, that the Isser Hanoah, the prohibition to get benefit, doesn't apply by a chicken. That's only with a real cow, because a chicken and milk is rabbinic. It's only a rabbinic prohibition to have chicken and milk, but it's a Torah prohibition to have meat and milk. But what about this? What about Ever Menachai? Because when the chicken jumped in the hot dairy, it was alive, and the blios of the chicken, the taste of the chicken went into the lasagna. So now you'll be eating the taste of a live chicken. It would just be, if I'm eating that lasagna or whatever it was, that would just be like me taking a bite out of the chicken's leg. So maybe I can't do that. And that's actually how the Tshuva paskined. Now, so what about this? Yeah.
The chicken was there for such a short time.
Right, isn't there something like 160th? Does that apply to this at all?
Yeah, that's in the volume. There's a Pischei Tshuva like that, I think. But I don't know if we...
I don't think they do.
Oh, yeah? Oh, really? So go with it?
Right.
Orange,
Okay.
please. Orange.
I didn't see you mention that, but...
Huh?
I didn't see you mention it there, but the rabbi's saying that...
I mean, it didn't fly away if it was there for more than 15 seconds. I think it's like 15 seconds, right?
I don't
I'm
know.
sure it didn't fly away if it was boiling stew, you know.
Yeah.
Well, for Passover, we burn everything in the oven. Everything is, anything that's in there.
Right.
Anything that's left, we burn it.
Right, so I'm saying, why don't you have to do that for your teeth?
What do? You gotta use Listerine.
What?
Gotta use Listerine, right?
Yeah, but that's not burning. I'm saying, how do you kasher something? Like you're saying, when you put the oven up,
Right.
what is it, like 900 degrees, self-cleaning? That's like, why don't you have to blowtorch your teeth?
I use hot tea.
Hot tea, but that's not like a blowtorch.
So what am I gonna use?
I don't know, maybe, you have to boil a kettle of water that you pour in the coffee and pour it in your teeth.
Okay.
Don't do this at home. Okay, spoiler alert, you don't have to kasher your teeth. Okay, just,
You gotta cut.
if-
You just said you gotta cut.
No, you don't have to kasher your teeth. Do not, so the public service announcement, nobody should boil water and pour it in their mouth. The biggest briskers don't do that, as far as I know. I mean, I don't think they do that. So I'll finish with this point, and maybe just say something a little on the idea of Pesach. But the Stipler asks, so if we can have blios from Ever Menachai, then, meaning if the taste comes out, the chicken, right? The chicken was alive, and the taste of the live chicken came out and went into this lasagna. Said, what about if I put my finger on toast? I take toast out of the toaster, or a piece of meat out of the pot. It's hot. I put my finger on it. I shouldn't be able to eat the meat or the toast because the taste of me went in there. You're not allowed to eat people. I don't think anyone ever had the desire to do so, but there's a prohibition to eat a person. So I have taste of me in the toast, or in the meat. Why am I allowed to eat the meat or the toast? So the Steipler says, there's a very, very big klal, which is going to answer why we don't have to kasher teeth. The answer is that something that's alive, while it's alive, does not transfer taste. Right? Now, what about the chicken? The chicken, we're worried that it was in there, that maybe one of the limbs died, even though it was still attached, and the dead limb transferred taste, the chicken to the lasagna. However, I know my finger's alive. My finger didn't die. So I don't transfer taste into the toast I'm about to eat or the hot meat. Now, so therefore, that would answer our question about teeth. Teeth, I'm alive. My teeth are alive. So I don't have to worry about taste going into my teeth, coming out of my teeth. Now, the question is why? Why should that be true? I don't know. Do you have any ideas? What's the difference if something's dead or alive about transferring taste? You just have to ask a cannibal, I guess, if human beings taste better dead or alive. I don't know, but that's one thing I wasn't clear about. But that's what he says. Now, that would answer our question about teeth, but still, we'd have a question about braces. We still have a question about caps, about dentures, and about fillings. So that I hope to talk about next week. That'll be the end. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, sure, cool.
Concerns?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Who applies this?